But I think every year what we try and do is bring something new to this conference. We try and tell you or talk about what we're learning, what we're building, and what we're seeing in general in the trends across schools using Carry. So we're just going to dive into a bit of Carry 101 and some of the conversations that we've had with schools. And this is a classic finance trap that I think a lot of schools have found themselves in. It was really well described to us by a school up in Joburg, and a lot of schools have sort of broken out of this trap by using Carry, but I'll still go through it anyway. So at the beginning of the year, the school year starts. You have to start issuing for school fees. You have to start issuing invoices. Or a tour and event starts. You have to start telling people that there's something to pay for. You send out invoices. You start telling people that there's something to pay for. And then the inevitable next step is you spend months chasing those payments. And hopefully you've all picked up our stickers saying chasing payments is not our cardio. Certainly it shouldn't be. But inevitably the final step of this is writing off bad debt. And I distinctly remember at Sansusi looking at report cards where we would write out the amount of school fees outstanding at the end of the year. And we wrote off millions of rands in unpaid school fees, because some children liked to take the scenic route and did a couple of years of the same year. So by the end, they'd racked up quite a bill, and there was absolutely, well, there was a little bit that we could do to recoup it, but ultimately it was written off. And this trap has caused schools to change the way they think about money and their payments. And this is a quote from Mervyn at St. Peter's College. Now, I appreciate St. Peter's College is an independent school, but I wanted to illustrate the point that it doesn't matter what type of school you're at, what background your kids come from, the issue is the same. Parents don't pay, or there's a struggle that comes with getting parents to pay. It's basically what we spend our lives thinking about, trying to get parents to pay. And Mervyn and Grant, who are the finance staff there, thought that they should change this. So what he really delved into, and what we've spoken about with a lot of schools as well, is how do we get parents to pay in a predictable way? A predictable way that creates consistency, that allows for budgeting, and that allows for ultimately just a better view of the year, of where the money's coming in and how that looks. And we're going to jump into a few lessons that we've seen over, this has been 8 years, but particularly that have jumped out in the last year. So this is lesson 1, give parents options and make life easier for them. I'll say it again, give parents options and make it easier for them. This is a screenshot, you might not be able to see the details, but it's a screenshot of the Take-A-Lot app that I'm sure we're all familiar with. I will count it for you. There are 10 different mechanisms for payment on the Take-A-Lot app. You can pay with your Discovery Miles, you can pay with your eBucks, you can pay on Payflex, you can even pay cash on delivery, you can pay with Visa or MasterCard, and they also accept American Express and Diners. Very few merchants still accept those 2 cards. You can pay via EFT or one voucher on Ozo, you can pay via PayFast, you can also use Take-A-Lot credit, whatever that is. But there are 10 mechanisms for payment, and it's super simple to use. So in industry and in this world, they are trying to create as many options for people, users, to make their order on Take-A-Lot. And they're making it really, really simple. And I wanted to jump now to a quote from Marisol. I don't think Bloberg Ridge is here, but she is an absolute Carry champ, been using Carry for years. And she just speaks about this. Carry supports our debt collection process because we'd never be able to send the volume of reminders that Carry sends. Make it easy for them. Don't make it awkward. Remind them to make payments. And the reminders are critical to getting parents to pay instantly and consistently. Here's that word again. Predictability, consistency. It's going to come up a lot. Our parents are used to paying Carry for everything, or used to using Carry to pay for everything. It just makes sense. The next thing that has become absolutely vital in this process is that credit cards are crucial. So one of the options on Carry is obviously that you could use your credit card to pay. It's very much an option on Take-A-Lot. And when we dug into the data, and you as a Carry school can dig into this data yourself, 60% of Carry transactions are being made via credit card on the app. 60%. You're giving the parent the option, and they're choosing to use their credit card. And why is a credit card so interesting in this space? Parents earn their rewards. Do not underestimate the power of rewards. They pay their annual upfront school fees, or they pay monthly school fees, and they can pay for their flights at the end of the year for the Christmas holiday. Your card is also saved securely on file, so you're not going to input CVVs and expiry dates and card numbers multiple times to make your payment. And there's that word again. The school receives money predictably. Because what happens? Life happens. You have a punctured tire that you now need to go and repair. You have a medical bill that suddenly popped up that wasn't anticipated. I can guarantee you that money is going to be taken away from paying school fees for that month and go to that needed thing at the time. So we need to create a space where this is predictable. And this image is so powerful for me. A lot of you may have point of sale devices at your receptions. But what Carrie does is it puts a point of sale device in the pocket of every single parent. So yes, mom, please pay for school fees while you're sitting in front of the TV watching Netflix. Yes, please, while you're buying your coffee, pay for that big tour that's coming up and use the options that are available to you. It can make a substantial difference. And here Davika from Howick Prep says the same thing. If parents don't see their school fee collection on Carrie, they'll phone us and ask, where is it? Parents are bombarded with demands all day. So Carrie's reminders are a powerful way to get them to pay school fees fast. It also means they can use their credit cards and earn points. Now, lesson number 3 may seem fairly obvious, and this has been something that I think has been staring us in the face for years. But there's this idea of making your money work a little bit harder. When you collect money up front, it can go into an account of your choosing. Now, there are interest-bearing accounts that will yield you 6 to 8%. And I've spoken to government schools and the way in which they are using these accounts. And you can get a consistent 6 to 8% on even a 48-hour money market account. It is phenomenal what you can do with these accounts. If you get that money up front and it sits in that bank account over a period of time, any fee for collection of money is not going to exist anymore because your cash balance is going to have grown so much you won't even remember that there was a fee to collect that money. And growing your cash balance is certainly something that we should all ultimately aim for. And I know there may be some stipulations on these accounts within a government school, but we can chat about that. We've chatted to lots of government schools about setting up these accounts. And this was fundamental to Grant's thinking at St. Peter's, and he says it quite nicely in this quote. I came from a background of telecoms, and we had a 60-day facility. The idea was you earned interest on the money that was just sitting in your account. At the end of every day, you sweep your money to your interest-bearing account, and you leave the bare minimum on your call account so that you can earn interest overnight. That has been my mindset from day one at St. Peter's. And I sat with him, it almost gave me goosebumps, and he said, you know, our financial position has improved by 8 million rand from last year to the same time this year. I mean, that is just, what are those funds being used for now? Changing the facilities, investing in the new pool, making sure salaries are paid and you're not losing your breath every time you have to push that button at payroll. So we break the finance track. We open the collection months or weeks in advance. We take that money, we get it up front, and we put it into an interest-bearing account. Depending, we may do it immediately, we may do it at the end of the month, we may do it at the end of the week. Suddenly, you are making money on the money that's sitting there, and Carrie's fee becomes absolutely negligible. And you stop becoming a credit provider. Has anyone heard this concept of schools being a credit provider? I think it's fantastic because you sell education as probably your main commodity. That's what you're doing, you're educating students in the classroom. A student will come to school on the day one and start receiving education. You may receive those fees 6 months later. You're a credit provider. And you're not just providing credit on education, you're doing it on tours, you're doing it on textbooks, you're doing it on levies, you're doing it on everything that you provide. Why? Because you're getting the money afterwards. You hand out a textbook to a child and you maybe don't even ever see that money. You hand out merchandise at the uniform shop because yes, my mom did pay, and you never see that money. And the biggest risk is on your biggest commodity, school fees, because that's what's paying your salaries and that's what's keeping the lights on. So we stop the credit provider cycle and we start growing your cash balances. And I think to come full circle here, and I'm not sure where I am with time, hopefully I'm okay, but we started out, and this is genuinely the kind of stuff that gives me goosebumps. We ultimately wanted to remove cash from a campus. We wanted to make it easier for schools to collect money from parents. So we created this app, and great, we've now removed cash from campuses. That's done. It's finished. There's no more cash on a lot of the campuses that use carry. We've made kids happy, we've done the Civies days. But what we're doing now, and what has shifted over the last 8 years, is we are now the app that puts your school in a better financial position. And I'm not saying that in jest. We can genuinely change the way in which your finances operate at your school, all by using simple things, providing options, getting money up front, and being smart with where that money is sitting throughout the year. They're not complicated things to do, and they can change the landscape of the finance world completely. And I know people in this room, as I did engage with Jenny at our school, you keep the lights on. You ensure that these things move forward. But instead of chasing payments constantly, rather be in a position where you've got money and you can think about how to use that money better in the school space, rather than just chasing payments constantly.